Perpetual check. Imagine you are in this position. It looks completely hopeless, and you are about to get checkmated. However, you actually have a trick up your sleeve to draw this game. First, you check here with the queen, and once the king moves, you check again. This tactic is called perpetual check, where you endlessly check the opponent's king, which will lead to a draw. Rule of +2. Rule of +2 states that whenever you are attacking, you want to have 2 more attacking pieces than defending pieces. This is a good rule of thumb to follow since here the attack won't succeed, since there is only 1 extra piece in the attack. But add just another one and now it looks a lot more convincing. Pawn storm. A pawn storm is when you storm your opponent's king with pawns. This opens up files for your rooks and other pieces to join the attack. To do a successful pawn storm, castle on the opposite side of your opponent. Then launch 2 or 3 of your pawns to the opponent's king. Now the goal here is to trade these pawns for these pawns. In a perfect scenario, you trade the pawns, and then you come with the rooks to absolutely destroy the king. And also in every opposite side castling, your opponent can also launch a storm of his own, so you always gotta be careful. Develop the least active piece. This tip is actually quite underrated. The whole tip is to find your worst piece, which is the piece doing nothing. Then you bring that piece to a better square where it actually does something. The reason this is good is because if you have a long bishop in the corner, and your opponent has a fully developed one, you're basically playing down a bishop, which is not ideal. So if you are ever in doubt about what to play next, remember that you can find your least active piece and develop it to a better square. Put knights on outposts. An outpost is a square in your opponent's territory which cannot be attacked by pawns and is defended by your pawn. Guess what piece would dominate there? Yes, the knight. So if you see an outpost square, try to reroute your knight to go to that square. Rooks on 7th rank. In a king and rook endgame, the best spot for your rook is usually the 7th rank or the 2nd rank for black. This is because the rook here attacks lots of pawns and sometimes can get a fork. Now this isn't immediately winning, but it's still good to have as it limits the king to come to the center. Now when you manage to get 2 rooks in there, now it's a lot more dangerous, as you can basically chainsaw black and win 1 or 2 pawns, which is usually enough to win the game. Activate the king. In a king and pawn endgame, the king is your best piece. So if you just put it in the corner and just push pawns, you are going to lose big time. So instead of that, try to centralize your king so that it controls more of the board and can go anywhere in a short amount of time. Centralize your pieces. Speaking of centralizing, one of the key principles of chess is that you should always have your pieces close to the center. For example, the knight in the corner controls 2 squares, and on the edge only 4 squares. But if it's in the center, it suddenly controls 8 squares. The bishop on the edge only controls 6 squares, but in the middle controls 13 squares. Keep the bishop pair. Now what is a bishop pair, you may ask? Well, it's a pair of bishops you own. This is actually really good, as the bishops control opposite color squares and dominate the open board. Unless the board is really close, the bishop pair usually dominates the bishop and knight, and the 2 knights. In the middle game, you don't really want to trade your bishops for knights, unless there is a big reason like a damage of structure or winning of material. Push past pawns. Past pawns are pawns without any pawn that could stop them. In a king and pawn endgame, you want to push these pawns as much as possible, and sometimes it may even be too far for the king to stop them. Decoy pawn. Now here, you use the passed pawns as a decoy or bait for the king to take. This is because the king will be so isolated from its pawns that after it takes, for the sacrifice of 1 pawn, you can take a lot more back. Create batteries. Batteries are when 2 long-range pieces combine to become stronger. For example, if you have 2 rooks on the file is essentially owned by you, since if the rook comes, you will take it and win a rook. You can also do this with a queen and bishop, or this triple battery, which is basically a cannon. Batteries help attack the king as the queen, plus bishop is a common checkmate pattern, or the queen and rook, which is the same thing. Rook lift. A rook lift is when you have castled kingside and you wish you had a rook here to attack the king. Well, no worries. First push the pawn 2 squares and then slide the rook up and over, and boom, you got it. Danger levels. This is something created by Gotham Chess. If your high-value piece gets attacked by a low-value piece, your instinct is to move it, right? Well, Gotham Chess argues that is not the only way to save a piece. Sometimes if the situation is appropriate, You can attack an equally valued piece to the piece that is getting attacked. Follow CCA. Another one by the Gotham dude. This tip is when every move you scan the board for checks, captures, and attacks. The reason for those moves is because they are the most forcing moves, and usually those are where tactics are found in the middle game. Do a blunder check. Now if you are below 2000 elo, you probably blunder a lot, which is why if you simply blunder less than your opponent, and you spot their blunder, you can win most of your games. Now to do a blunder check, simply scan the checks, captures, and attacks of your opponent, quickly to see if there are any tactics. So if you like this video, then please like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel and helps me upload more content to you guys. And see you in the next one.